Tonight on Prime Business, the president of African Development Bank calls for the establishment of a special fund for sustainable infrastructure in Ghana and the rest of Africa.
ADF gives hope. As Phil just told us from the United Kingdom, he said the fund is needed now more than ever.
So over 57% of Africa's population, including Ghanaians, to suffer acute malnutrition by 2025 as food crisis looms amid soaring inflation and post-harvest losses.
Research is done by universities that now is being uptake by entrepreneurs to develop all sort of solutions to really make sure that at the end of it, our farmers will get access to a market.
Also, Agence Française de Développement and GCB Bank signed $13.7 million credit facility to develop energy efficiency.
This program brings us the necessary funding, and more importantly, it brings us the capacity building, the technical support. Some of these things which we lack, okay, we need foreign currency funding for some of the loans we are doing.
All these and more coming up shortly, but we begin with commodities. Hello, welcome. I'm Charles Ayitey. This evening, President of the AFDB has made a strong case for Africa to establish a special fund for the development of sustainable infrastructure. Speaking at the African Development Fund 50 Years Anniversary Forum, which forms part of the ongoing meetings in Accra, Dr. Adesina believes the fund will also help solve many of the issues related to climate change.
Life that you have, that's my son, ADF, so that you know that I also have ADF in my blood. That's because ADF gives hope. As Phil just told us from the United Kingdom, he said the fund is needed now more than ever. As we celebrate ADF at 50, there's still much more hope for us to give. There's still much more to do. There's still much more Antonios out there who are hoping that somehow their lives will be removed from the clutches of poverty and lack of education that they face every single day. The fund at 50, as we celebrate, has also $25 billion in equity. We've been talking to our partners for us to invest even more smartly, to use that $25 billion to leverage $33 billion, and therefore be able to give more hope. Just imagine what that will do all across of Africa, leveraging for hope. The fund then will be able to expand hope, be financially sustainable, support climate resilience, support renewable energy. And I think I just heard on the panel, during the ADF 16, we're talking about a special set aside for climate because 9 out of the 10 most vulnerable countries to climate change in Africa are in sub-Saharan Africa, but 100% of them are the ADF countries.
Well, the ongoing climate change challenges facing the continent is not likely to be over as soon as expected. That's according to a report released by the African Development Bank. The AFDB wants the region to increase funding to address the threats of agriculture and energy production. Here's more.
President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, at the ongoing Africa Development Bank annual meetings, hinted that given the scale of resources needed to meet Africa's nationally determined contribution targets, estimated at about $145.5 billion a year until 2030, more concrete policy actions will be required to close Africa's annual climate financing gap. In view of the low climate finance resource flows to the continent, this year's African Economic Outlook also offers innovative perspectives on how African countries can successfully navigate the ongoing socio-economic challenges and rising geopolitical conflicts to avoid a triple crisis of sluggish economic recovery, increased energy deficits and inequality, and high climate vulnerabilities.
It has rocked global commodity and financial markets yet again. The African Economic Outlook also focuses on the issue of climate change and the just energy transition, which form the theme of the annual meetings of the African Development Bank. The report shows that Africa needs a lot more financing to tackle climate change, but it came at it from a different perspective, or let me say, a new perspective. The global community has for many years been clamoring, and more recently at the COP26.
The situation is likely to affect cost of living as energy and food crises persist on the continent. Meanwhile, countries in West and East Africa are projected to be the most affected, with the impact of the high warming scenario becoming progressively more severe.
Now, the Global Center on Adaptation has warned extreme weather and rapid changes to Ghana's climate present profound risks. The projected impacts of climate change are likely to intensify pressure on the country's existing infrastructure, affecting food supply, water storage, flood defenses, and sanitation. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the chief executive of the center, Professor Dr. Patrick Vokayan, highlighted the need to expedite action on a roadmap to resilient infrastructure in changing climate change.
In 2015, world leaders from Africa, but also from the global north, have agreed three important things. One, the world cannot warm up more than 1.5 degrees. And where are we on that, on the scorecard? We are failing, because the world will already increase warming by 1.5 when? By 2030. Two, the world has agreed that $100 billion will flow from the global north to the global south, particularly in Africa. What's the scorecard on that? We are failing. $80 billion a year is currently flowing, not 100 billion. And out of that 80 billion, a mere 20 billion is invested in adaptation. And only a fraction of that is coming to Africa. The world is failing Africa. And the third piece, which was agreed in 2015, is that the world, realizing that it will warm up, it has to adapt to this new reality. We need to produce and consume our food differently. We need to build our infrastructure differently. And particularly, we need to create jobs for our young people. Decent jobs, green jobs, jobs which are in the climate adaptation space.
Now, over 57% of the African population, including Ghanaians, will suffer acute malnutrition by 2025 as food crisis looms amid soaring inflation and post-harvest losses. That's according to a projection by the Netherlands Food Partnership together with MDF Ghana and the Ghana-Netherlands Business and Culture Council. It comes as the International Multi-Actor Coalition is raising concerns about Ghana's food security amid supply chain disruptions and post-harvest losses. Speaking to Joy Business at the ongoing Food Ecosystem Conference by the Netherlands Embassy, the West Africa Regional Director for MDF Africa, Richard Yeboah, called for urgent measures to deal with the looming crisis.
Sometimes research is done by universities that now is being uptake by entrepreneurs to develop all sort of solutions to really make sure that at the end of it our farmers will get access to a market and also provide quality, healthy food diets for consumers. One of the things that is unique in Ghana is that we have the policies in place. The policies are there, but one of the things that we have seen in our research is that many people don't know about the existence of the policies and how to implement these policies, and also how to work with organizations like the Food and Drugs Authority. So this program is really trying to be a spin in the web, as they said, to link all these parties to each other to make use of already what is existing, and then also identify gaps in the system, which then we use to also advocate and inform decision makers to adjust their programs.
Well, meanwhile, the country representative of the Netherlands Food Partnership, Vanessa Nitgen, has said that the Dutch government is currently in an aggressive food revitalization program with Ghana as a contribution to averting an imminent food crisis.
The Netherlands Food Partnership is trying to facilitate acceleration in attaining Sustainable Development Goal 2, ending hunger, and we are building further on the ties that are already there. So we saw with other partnerships that were already there within Ghana and the Netherlands that there were many contributions in the field of food and nutrition security that could contribute to an improved food environment, but they were not necessarily connected. And also the fact that for this food environment theme we chose the country of Ghana is that Ghana in Africa actually is a front runner, and research wise and also governmental wise to work on improvements here. So there actually a bit of the two came together. There's also high prevalence here of obesity and non-communicable diseases, so this whole context made that okay, this was a very nice place to start working on this. And also it was a bit of a pilot because as I said, we are impact oriented, so we are really trying to see how you can make a very specific impact together. So we also learned from it. We're constantly learning, we're reflecting on what we're doing, and it might also be an example for other countries that we might want to enroll later.
Well, the Agence Française de Développement and GCB Bank have signed a $13.7 million credit facility to support local businesses towards the development of energy efficiency and renewables. Well, according to the French ambassador to Ghana, Anne-Sophie Harvey, this will provide technical and financial assistance to individuals and households who are into green investment. She believes that the move will promote the development of a low-carbon and resilient economy. Here's more.
The partnership will see the Ghana Commercial Bank reach out to local businesses and households with an attractive financial offer for green projects and guide their clients towards more climate-smart technologies such as electric mobility, green building and solar energy. Speaking to Joy Business, Anne-Sophie Harvey says this will facilitate Ghana's energy decarbonization path.
So the Sunref initiative is about providing a line of credit to Ghanaian banks so that they can in turn offer cheaper loans to fund some renewable energy, sustainable energy, less consuming energy projects from individuals or companies. I do believe that in times like these, when we see that our dependence from fossil energies and from global international trade, that ends up with increasing the price of livelihood, having projects that will be based on renewable energy, namely local energy, being able to produce locally and being able to be more independent when it comes to something as paramount as energy.
Meanwhile, Managing Director for the Ghana Commercial Bank, John Kofi Adumakun, says frameworks are readily available to finance such projects that redefines the economy.
In these type of projects where you are addressing renewable energy and energy efficient type projects, you need a number of partners to help deliver on the overall objective, which is to develop and bring to fruition projects that are of climate finance and climate clean projects. This project in particular, this program, brings us the necessary funding, and more importantly, it brings us the capacity building, the technical support. Some of these things which we lack, okay, we need foreign currency funding for some of the loans we are doing, the pricing at which we get the foreign currency, okay, the tenor of the loans, okay, are all critical. And a lot of the projects that one will be looking into will be quasi-project finance type transactions, and that's why you need a certain specialized type of funding to address. And the SunRef program brings this to bear.
Partnership is a great way to promote Ghana's efforts closer to the achievement of their contribution to the Paris Agreement determined contributions.
Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs is calling for a durable solution to address the weak structural fundamentals of Ghana's economy. In its response to the recent policy rate hike and rising inflation, the economic think tank says that inflation is not the only macroeconomic problem facing Ghana's economy, but also the high fiscal deficit, public debt, exchange rate instability, among others, accounting to these challenges. Charles Nixon-Yabua has been studying the report and has come through with this.
The IES said the problem facing the country is the underlying weak structure of the economy, characterized by reliance on low value-added primary export products and high import dependency. It therefore expects the durable solution through transformation of the colonial-type economy to a vibrant industrialized economy. It, however, cautioned managers of the economy they cannot solve the economic problems through relying on narrow tax base and borrowing, but rather wants government to leverage the vast natural resource wealth by taking ownership of it. Also, the IEA dismissed earlier publications calling for the scrapping of the inflation targeting framework. It rather said the framework is less effective in the Ghanaian context and therefore called for a more comprehensive approach whereby the inflation targeting framework will be complemented with interventions directly targeting the entrenched supply and cost factors. On the policy rate increment, the economic think tank expressed satisfaction with the quantum of increment, saying it will balance the risk between inflation and growth.
Now, MasterCard Foundation, in collaboration with the Ghana Enterprise Agency, has graduated 630 young people who have benefited from the skill training in the Ashanti region. Beneficiaries were trained in dressmaking, welding, pastries, and other crafts. Here's more.
It went through apprenticeships for a year with full scholarship from Ghana Enterprise Agency and MasterCard Foundation. Beneficiaries were supported with startup kits to enable them start their businesses. Certificates were awarded to trainees by accredited TVET institutions. CEO for Ghana Enterprise Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, urged the young entrepreneurs to invest their time in making their businesses successful.
We have trained over 8,000 under the apprenticeship to entrepreneurship component over a year. In the next 2 years, I want to see these graduates really that they've started their businesses, that they've actually moved beyond the startup phase where they've been able to employ people and they're also training people. That will bring a lot of joy to us.
Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah says skills training should not be underestimated. He believes this is the only avenue to reduce unemployment in the country.
In this country, we have many people who have negative perception about people who branch into technical vocational education. Saying that people who are less intelligent do branch to that sector. But it's not true. And they have added advantage because after the training, they have ready job. Those who branch into the grammar schools, after the training, then they will be seeking government jobs. And when they are not available, then you see they are found wanting. They become jobless.
A beneficiary, Mary Opon, wants the Ghana Enterprise Agency to assist in accessing business centers.
Because to say no, me so some be master. I meet me actually youth now. Mo suni ejuma ye no. Obi betima be suni ejuma o me honom. Enti ejuma ya me ye ni GNSMP. O pese oje shop na wankasa ubie wo ejuma. Enam like say o man ni mo aye den kakra ni ti bia kwosoro.
Anita Selwajuke's report read to you.
Now, Iswa Loans Limited, a non-bank financial institution, is tailoring policies to support and facilitate the development of small and medium-scale enterprises in Ghana. Chief Executive Raymond Kwachi believes that the implementation of the policies will help improve the operations of targeted businesses to advance national development. Here's more.
As part of its 10th anniversary, the board and management of the Eastway Savings and Loans Limited paid a courtesy call on the Asante-Hene Otumfuo Saitu II at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi. The non-bank financial institution has been in operation in the Ashanti region for the past 8 years. The institution, since its establishment in 2012, has provided financial services to both public and private sector workers. The Asante-Hene admonished the institution to continue with its good service, but cautioned against unscrupulous individuals. Chief Executive Officer Raymond Kwachi says Eastway is devising strategies and evolving services to meet the needs of the SMEs. He believes support to the SMEs would advance development, especially for those in the agricultural sector.
Came here today, it's just a courtesy call on the Otumfuo. We've been in this market for some time now. We've been looking for the opportunity to do this. We felt this is the right time. We have opened our 3rd branch in this market. So we called on him for support, advice and blessings, and that's what happened this morning. In the last 3 years, we've spent quite some time to develop products and services that will meet the needs of SMEs. Currently, that is what we are pushing. We have developed a lot of new products and services when it comes to loans, when it comes to savings and current accounts to support that sector. We believe that it's a very vibrant sector. Ghana can develop if that sector develops.
For Joy Business, Emmanuel Bryce-Kweku reporting.
Update for the bulletin with me, Charles Ayitey, but I'll leave you with international business news, after which we have Prime Sports. Do stay with Joy News.